In 2004, my wife Junko and I, we decided to go to Singapore for our honeymoon. We were living in Japan at the time, and we wanted to go someplace we'd never been before. Now, Singapore seemed perfect. It's a small island nation located in Southeast Asia on the equator, and it's close to Indonesia, which meant we could go to the beach and just hang out. This is exactly what we were looking for. So we spent 6 days in Indonesia, and on our last night, we were back in Singapore, and we said, let's go downtown, we'll go have a drink, you know, go out of this country with a bang. Well, we took a taxi, and when we got where we were going, we stepped out into a sea of people. What we didn't know is that August 9th is Singapore's National Day. This is the equivalent of our 4th of July. And there were mobs of people that were partying, having a good time. Everybody had on red t-shirts and they were waving the Singaporean flags. And Junko and I, we couldn't help but get caught up in the excitement. And we were having a great time watching the fireworks, celebrating with all the people, until it was time to go home, and that's when things got a little crazy. We arrived by taxi and thought that's how we would get home, but for whatever reason, I couldn't get anything to stop for me. I'm screaming and waving, taxi, taxi. Nothing. And even the empty taxis aren't stopping for me. I had no idea why, and I'm getting frustrated. But, I'm on my honeymoon, and naturally, Junko and I, we started to fight. We're walking around in circles trying to figure out how to get home. We're discussing the options. And this went on for about 30 minutes until finally we encountered a group of bicycle taxis. Now, just a quick word about the taxis. These are not like the hipster machines you see in downtown these days. This was more like a rickshaw from a black and white movie that just happened to have a Wicked Witch of the West kind of bicycle attached to it. We told the drivers where we wanted to go, and they all just laughed at us. Too far. Well, just as we're about to leave and go continue discussing our options, a driver stepped forward and he said, "Yeah, I'll take you for double." Now, I was elated and terrified at the same time. I was elated because we finally had a way to get home, but I was also terrified because I didn't think the driver could do it. This guy was about 5'5", thin as a rail, and looked like he was about 70 years old. We didn't have a whole lot of choice, so we took that deal. And this bicycle rickshaw clearly was designed for someone smaller than myself. My wife, Junko, she's a petite Japanese woman. She got into the rickshaw. And then I settled my 6'2" frame in next to her. And the driver, he pulled out, and then for good measure, he pulled out an old radio and started cranking, Chinese pop tunes as we creaked out into the night. I'm just like, look, when in Rome, do as the Romans. We're going to get home. Everything's going to be great. But after about 10 minutes, the trip started to get surreal because we were leaving the tourist area and heading out into the regular area. And people on the sidewalks were gawking at us. Cars were honking the horn for us to get out of the way. And, I'm looking at the driver, like, what's going on? But he just turned up the music a little bit more. And this was clearly not the night that I was hoping for. And I'm looking at Junko, and her face said the same thing. Well, after an eternity, what felt like an eternity, we finally got home. I mean, as far as problems go, this was pretty easy. We solved it, but it was pretty surreal. But at the same time, it was also one of the coolest nights. Because what I later found out is that Singapore is only 40 years old. And I'd never seen so many people so excited about their country. It was like, a bunch of young people having a good time celebrating the prime of their life. And I realized that, the country, they had gone through a lot economically as well as existentially just to become a country. And I thought this was really cool. This made me feel a few things. One, it made me feel like a jerk. I had looked at the driver of our taxi, of the bike taxi, and doubted he could get the job done. But this guy, he's probably been dealing with tourists for many years, and he got us back to the hotel. He got the job done. But it also made me feel pride in what it is to be an American. By seeing all the excitement that the Singaporeans had, I felt the same sense of pride in America. And this actually surprised me because I'm from New England. I'm very cool, shy, and reserved. And the 4th of July always was just another day to go shopping, maybe have a barbecue, and watch some fireworks. But seeing how these people felt about their country and just seeing their joy made me feel good. The United States, 230 years at the time, and there's kind of a been there, done that feeling. And we were living in Japan at the time, and it's the kind of thing where it's hard to get excited when your country's over 2,000 years old. I mean, they didn't even have a National Day celebration. So by seeing the Singaporean pride, I felt some pride of my own. So thank you, Singaporeans, and thank you for listening to my story.